All right.
And with 10 minutes to spare, too.
Yeah. Well, I anticipated this to be take a bit of time.
Yeah.
I'll delete that last tweet in case people were interested in looking at that. Anticipated this to be take a bit of time.
Yeah.
I'll delete that last tweet in case people were oh, cool. AJ, can you just say something real quick?
Sure, I can say many
I'm
things
looking at
really
that.
quick,
Anticipated
just
this to
to
be
make sure you hear me just
take a
fine.
bit of time.
Is it working the way you
I'll delete
expected
that last
to?
tweet in case
Is it
people
working
were
the way I
oh,
expected
cool.
to?
AJ, can you just say something real quick?
Yay! Sure, I can say many things
I'm looking at
really
that.
quick,
Anticipated
just
this
to
be
make sure. Great, you hear me just
take a
fine.
bit of all right. So, man, before I shut this down, I need to take a lot of notes. And,
Okay.
yeah, so I think actually I'll just say this since it's being recorded, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
switch to our talking heads so you'll see us. I think the resolution was I had to actually switch the output of Zoom to my multi-tracked output speaker, and that speaker
Mm-hmm.
itself is grabbing a bunch of different devices, and
Mm-hmm.
and then it's piping it into OBS as one output. So
Got it.
that's essentially it's grabbing my computer audio.
Yep.
It's grabbing my computer audio, but it's grabbing the same audio as my headphones right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the other problem was I was grabbing output of my computer and output of my headphones and making that one, and it was doing a double thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I actually tested it with the headphones on last time. So
All right.
that was a trip. But I'm gonna take a screenshot of this setting real quick, and then we'll just jump right in. Yeah.
Nice.
So AJ, thanks for actually we're 10 minutes early. So
Yay.
did you want to do like a bio break or anything up before we
Yes, I'm going to go do that. Be right back.
All right. All right. Excellent. So here we are. Yep. You hear me okay, AJ?
Yep, just fine. You hear me all right?
I do. Yeah. So
Wonderful.
I don't know how to mute our audio while we are sort of preparing. So let's just jump right in then, and then we'll
Yeah,
see where this takes us.
not a problem.
So I've got a super janky setup. I took a lot of screenshots. Well, I took at least one screenshot to make sure I know what I'm doing next time. But yeah, that was quite the experience, and I'm super happy that we can move forward. So I appreciate you coming through the bumps with me and sort of figuring out how I myself can have a guest on this whole mutual fund live thing that I've sort of coined. Honestly, did not even have a name for it. Actually, I sort of had a name for it, but I didn't think I was actually going to use it. And then I figured, oh, mutual fund live. That's a great way to do it because I wanted to organize everything in a GitHub repo, so I had to name it something. So you are now part of Mutual Fund Live. So congratulations.
Yay! Thank you. Happy to be here.
And I only literally just figured out how to do like the whole capture the Zoom screens properly. Yeah, it was pretty recent. Actually, I'm curious if does this work? Sorry, I'm just curious if my Zoom screens get blocked. Did they get blocked? Okay. Yeah, so they tend to go away if I do like this weird swipe thing on the Mac, so I'm just doing some live testing. Bear with me as I start figuring out stuff live on the air.
All good.
Sweet. So I chatted with you. Actually, we chatted a couple weeks ago. You are not a developer, correct?
Correct. That is correct. Very much not a developer.
And you had some interest in like learning how to code. Did you want to explain, I guess, to anybody who's watching? We have like 3 people watching at the moment, so explain to those 3 people what is it that you do?
So I am officially in field marketing and supposed to be helping out with field events, things like major trade shows and logistical stuff like that. I also do work in developer relations in a similar vein, primarily focused on the execution of in-person events. But aside from that, obviously being a part of the GitHub community, I really have always wanted to shore up my understanding of how to code, just so that whenever I do have chats with developers, like I can speak at a decent level. I mean, like I can talk to product features and kind of the stuff that we do at a high level, but as soon as things get technical, I tend to lose my depth. And so I'm trying to do better along those lines.
Yeah. So you're in the right place. And well, I guess I don't know. Maybe you're in the wrong place, but we'll find that out really quickly. So I had planned on potentially us doing something in VS Code. I didn't actually get that all set up of how to use that the live typing. So I think I'll rather than stumble through another thing today, we won't stumble through that. We'll actually let me switch to the next screen, which is basically us looking at this my window. So here I've got Mutual Fund /live. It's a GitHub repo. If you want, I'll actually ping that to you in Slack. If you want to follow
I've got it up.
Oh, you do? Excellent.
Yeah.
And sweet. And so I say all that because, well, I said sweet, but it's actually, I don't want that screen. We actually want to go to Mutual Fund itself because what I want to do is actually walk through the basic HTML site and just ask questions and see, sort of, I guess, poke through and see how much you sort of know.
Okay.
So I've got this site. It's super janky. Right now there's a bug, and I know exactly what the bug is, but you should be seeing the actual live stream here, but you don't.
Yep.
And so I'm curious, like, as far as your extent, like, would you be able to look at this simple HTML and like understand what's going on here, or did you want me to go ahead and break down and walk down through this?
Well, like, so I'd have to. Oh, you want me to go through the repo and look at the HTML code, or like, are we talking about examining the live page?
What's going on here, and
okay.
But I didn't know at what level of HTML did you know. So should I explain like HTML tags and head and body? and stuff like that?
That part I've seen. Like I kind of get the major parts of what makes up a web page.
Yeah, and like you come from, I think we're close in age, but you came through the MySpace age too as well. Did you
Yes.
tinker with like HTML and stuff like that during those times?
Yeah, like I like way back when I had like a college website. Like everyone in undergrad got a web page, and so I figured out how to uh, basically put on like put a few graphics and say a few words. Also, when I joined GitHub, I was like, "So what is GitHub?" And I figured out how to create GitHub pages from a repo
Yeah.
and deploy through Jekyll. So like that's yeah, it's I'm not completely starting from zero, but I have only coded things and copy pasted code as necessary to put something out there.
Okay, cool. So then I'll skip all the basics then. So basically, what I have here is I have a website that I lifted from HTML5 up,
Mm-hmm.
HTML5 up.com, not 6. And so here they just give you some pretty low level templates in HTML. I use this template as sort of like a place to stand up my Twitch screen. Um, and that's as far as it goes. And the other thing is like I have like very simple links to all the different I guess platforms. I should probably close Twitch too before it starts talking to me. But yeah, so it actually points. It doesn't actually point to the right YouTube. It points to my old playlist. Um, but the way, basically, what I'm getting at is that I have a very small bug here, and it's the name of my Twitch account. That Twitch account itself
Yeah,
is
it's
yeah.
it,
Yeah. I
it's
changed
me
the
eight
name.
robot, and then it
Yeah.
should be me eight bot.
Yeah, I changed the name mistakenly. I was trying to see if you could change your name on Twitch and change it back. And apparently on Twitch, it takes a month to like you could change it, but then you have to wait a month before you can change again.
Got it.
Sorry, Emmett, did you want to come sit with me? Sorry, my son's gonna join us too as well.
Nice.
Yeah, he had just finished his homeschooling for until spring break, which is next week. So he is
Hi.
super eager to hang out. And
How's
he's
it going,
pretty
Emmett?
quick. Yeah, he's asking how you doing. He's just
You,
smiling.
you ready for spring break?
Oop. There we go. Excellent. Yeah, so I got my co-host here. Oh, careful, don't break the chair. Here. Excellent. Um, yeah, so what was I getting at? Oh yeah, I had a HTML5 template, pretty straightforward. And the other thing that I wanted to change too is the logo, but I'll change that in a sec. Actually, maybe I'll get you to change it,
Sounds good.
which is pretty straightforward. So I'm gonna actually change this. I'm gonna commit that to master. Uh, the only other thing is that this site itself, it's not. It's actually hosted on Netlify, um, and it's hosted on Netlify in a very unique way. So, are you familiar with Netlify at all?
Only because I tried to go through your tutorial that you sent me. So
Excellent. Yeah, and we'll cover that
yeah.
in a sec too as well. Yeah, so Netlify is a place I used to work prior to GitHub. I think it's here. There we go. So the site itself is deployed in Netlify. I haven't really made a switch to GitHub Pages, mainly because I really like Netlify. And it gives you a little more bells and whistles than GitHub Pages. The other thing too is that we're going through like a renaissance in the web, where I come from a world where, so I do this podcast called Jamstack Radio, and they speak of the Jamstack as something that it's not something new, but it's a way of doing what was old, but doing it now new again. So like back
Okay.
in the days of MySpace, I mentioned that like it was super easy for you to just go into the source code of a site and then copy and paste it, and then you would have a whole other site. And like to prove that, I have spacejam.netlify.com. So I didn't build spacejam.com. Spacejam.com exist. All right, already.
Hmm.
It's a little nicer than my version. My version, I had to. I think I replaced the stars because I couldn't get that. Couldn't get that proper. Or did they replace the stars? I don't know where the disconnect is, but for some reason the stars are different, but everything else is the same. And a site like this, it could live like in perpetuity, forever. Um,
Yep.
and that's like the whole. That's a really nice thing about like using HTML as the backbone of your site, and not adding a bunch of hefty JavaScript and stuff like that. He's okay. Yeah. So and adding a bunch of hefty JavaScript like that.
Hmm.
So what I'm getting at is something as simple. Yeah. Go ahead.
Like just building static pages makes it much more durable instead of tying it to a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, because like what you're really getting into, like, so we're going through quite a pandemic here today in the world, and there's so much stuff that's like leaning on different infrastructure, and I think things sort of when the rug's pulled out from under you, like you want to have something stable to fall back on.
Hmm.
Um, so having a simple static site that powers a bit of JavaScript is a little more is like nicer than having a giant server that powers an entire static site. Um,
Hmm.
so like we could split hairs on like what is better and when and where. But the nice thing about this is that I just made a change to the site, and though it doesn't work here, I do know that it works on GitHub Pages, and I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to deploy a server or anything like that. Um,
Okay.
and GitHub Pages. The way it works is that your repo under your handle. Oh, they used to work. The repo. So I just got a 404. I'm not sure why. But the repo. Oh, you know what it is? It's because I moved this repo. Um, it's not under BDUG anymore. It's under mutual fund.
Hmm.
So I will need to. Yeah. So I did bduggy.github.io. It's actually mutualfund.github.io.
Okay.
And then so that one little fix actually fixes it for the site itself. Um, but I'm curious if you want to take a crack at changing the image here. If I slack you over an image of what I need to actually have it there. So
Okay.
let me find that image, which I think it's right here. This one. Nope, that's not it. Oh, it's in downloads. All right. My desktop is a mess. Also, my downloads folder is a mess. So maybe I should probably take this off screen in case people are like, "Ah, what are all these video files?" I assure you, it's just me recording myself. But that also sounds bad. Me recording myself playing Animal Crossing. I'm gonna finish that
Nice.
sentence. Yes, it's my side project. That is. All right. I promise you, I will have that file. I should search by date. That's why. Yeah, the way my brain works is I just throw everything on the desktop, and then
Mhm.
when I go on vacation, like what I'm doing next week, I then delete everything off my desktop while I'm thinking about it.
Nice. I only have one additional step. I have a triage folder, and everything gets thrown into there just so it doesn't clutter my desktop and give me anxiety. And then
Yeah,
I do the
yeah.
same thing.
So I have a spell your name so I can Slack you this. I have a desktop folder, but it's essentially the same thing. Everything goes in the desktop folder just so I don't have to look at it, and then bada bing, I delete it one day.
Yep.
All right, so
Nice.
I just
Okay, so
slacked you the image.
got it.
So I'm
And what you
curious.
want me to do is replace your Twitter avatar with that or the mutual fund
Yeah,
underneath.
yeah. So you should be able to go into the repo, and
Hmm.
I wish there was a better way to do share screen without breaking our our heads,
Hmm.
because I don't know how to grab a screen share.
Okay.
So if you went to mutual fund slash mutual fund, open up a PR to update that image.
Mhm.
That should be pretty straightforward.
Okay. Hopefully.
But I imagine your experience with GitHub, it actually should be straightforward. Because I think the next thing we'll do is something that's not as straightforward, which is probably, I don't know, but we'll figure it out that when we get there.
All right.
But while you're doing that, I'm going to take a commercial timeout and mention that anybody that's watching. So I think we had at least we had 3 people on the stream hanging out with us. Asking everybody to check out the schedule. So right now, me and AJ we're working through this event right here. The 9 a.m. event is actually already done because it was 9 a.m. Pacific time. But yeah, we're just gonna write some code together and chat a bit. The real priority here on the stream is actually making sure that we both can have our voices heard at the same time on a stream. So I'm actually very happy that this is working. I'm also happy that everything else is working. I'm looking forward to seeing the context of this. My 9 a.m. stream, that my goal there, though my agenda really just says that we were gonna write some. I was gonna write some code about GitHub Actions, which I did. I ended up hitting a roadblock with some debugging errors, but I'm pretty close to actually having something working. And I have the video here, so if anybody wants to go. So like basically what I'm getting at, follow the repo or star it, and that's where you'll get most of the information of like future streams. I am going to start opening up for having more guests come on. Then I've sort of figured out how to get the Zoom to work, and I took a screenshot of the hey Alex, looks like Alex Nichols is in Twitch. Thanks for letting me know that it's working. I think I have some Photoshoppy things that I want to do to sort of get rid of the yellow bar on Zoom. And then, I want to get rid of that logo too as well. I actually went to Fiverr to get that logo completed, which was quite the experience. Let's see. Yeah, so you let me know, AJ, when you're ready for me to look at that PR.
Okay, sure.
And then, so what I'm looking forward to do in this actual time block, so I have a whole schedule of streaming events as I sort of start figuring out how to ramp things up. Mondays at 10:15. Going to do some live coding and chat, really focused around building mutual fund and the site itself and some GitHub Actions to help support it. And then Friday, I'm going to have a guest come through in the morning. I do have another one of our coworkers actually going to join me in 2 weeks. We're going to talk about more GitHub Action stuff and how it relates to CI and a little more advanced, hopefully some more advanced stuff than I've been messing around with. I've been doing some like trivial things in automation. And then I'm going to have an open door. Sort of this portion will be the open door where everybody who has interest to come on and chat and ask questions can ask some technical questions. I guess it's going to be like, I guess on Twitch they do call it just chat. Just chat is the category, but essentially that's what that's going to be. And then from there I'll see where it goes. Just sort of trying to build a muscle for. Oh, there go the cops. All right, build a muscle for streaming itself. So also I'm on the fence of. Actually, I guess I'm not really on the fence. I think I really like the whole restream thing, where it goes to Twitch and then I get a version of it at YouTube right away. I found the YouTube version today was actually much higher quality than Wednesday. And then I find Periscope is like a good place for this awareness. Since I already have Twitter followers, I don't think people are probably going to sit on Periscope longer. Like, so if you haven't done it so far and you are in Periscope, feel free to jump over to Twitch because it's definitely a better quality stream. And I think the chat also is better quality as well. It looks like Alex. Oh, Alex, you're already in Twitch. Yeah, very cool. Alex, are you a streamer? Or are you just familiar with the Twitch itself? I'm curious, AJ, do you do any have you done any open source contributions thus far?
No, I have not.
Oh, welcome to the fold.
Thank you. So it looks like I've created, uh, accidentally created two pull requests or one and a half pull requests. I think I've changed the code appropriately, but I can't figure out how to upload the actual replacement image to the image folder.
Okay. So what was your first step? Did you create a fork?
Yes. So, well, I went into the code at Mutual Fund, index HTML, and then I hit the edit the file in the fork of my project, and I changed uh, line 23 to what will be the new file name for the image, and
Yep.
then that's basically the my pull request. And then I tried to upload to the image folder, but it said that image uploading was disabled. And then I made a silly second pull request, basically creating the file name, but
Okay.
without it actually uploading the image.
Oh, it created the file name, but there's no
Mm-hmm.
image. Yeah, I wonder if. Well, yeah, I've definitely done PRs of images. Yeah, because that's definitely a big old blank image right there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when you went to this spot here, you just click that button right there.
So when yeah, I just so I went to that folder, yep, images, and then I clicked on upload files, and it says uploads are disabled. File uploads
Oh,
require push access to this repository.
oh, I guess that makes sense. Maybe GitHub uploads. Maybe it's a setting, or maybe honestly, I've never actually submitted a PR that I wasn't already an admin on
Mm-hmm.
an image. So I'm curious. I guess that's not true. I did do a PR, so maybe it's actually in my settings. Um, Sorry, I'm just gonna add another image here too as well. Mutual fun. Oop, that's the other logo. Not using that one. That's the yeah, I'm not a big fan of these logos, but I went on Fiverr and asked someone to make a logo with those words, and they
Mm-hmm.
literally just did that. They just gave me a logo with those words. Um, but yeah, I'd like to spend some design brain cycles to fix that in the future. So yeah, that's I'm gonna add that. But I wonder, yeah, perhaps it's a limitation in the org level that I
Mm-hmm.
haven't actually come across. So I guess I could look at that later. But for now, what I'll do is I will decline your one PR and I'll just go ahead and add this picture to
Mm-hmm.
images now. Now I have a choice that I could either commit to master, but what I'll do is I can create a branch, but I can't create a branch onto now. An ideal situation, if we were all in the same repo, I'd create a branch onto your branch, and then your image would be there, and we merge it all at the same time. But
Mm-hmm.
we don't have that luxury because I think it's because we're in an org, maybe. And like we go down a rabbit hole and look up upload GitHub upload images in a PR.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think yeah, I wonder. I'm guessing there's probably a default setting that just limits people from uploading images because perhaps you could, well,
Upload whatever image that you want, right? Yeah.
yeah, maybe or perhaps there's like you could do. I guess you could do some creative stuff with images and have some sort of malicious code in the background. So maybe there was an issue and they had to shut that down. I don't really have all the details on that, but I can only speculate. So what I'll do is thanks, but no thanks. With no context, I'm sure that looks really rude. Um, yeah, this is just the image. I will take
Yep.
your other image and merge that in, so at least we have a working version on GitHub Pages.
Mhm.
Sweet. All right, so we've got that. One thing that a lot of people don't know about, and I mentioned this last time, there is a an endpoint. It's called deployments. You could also, if you have a GitHub page, um, you could see right here. There's a environment tab right here. So if you're ever working with a GitHub page, and or even it's not even GitHub alone. Like I actually have a GitHub app where you could leverage like Netlify and have environments set up too as well. Um, but you do get a list of all your deployments, and you can see in 29 seconds ago, I merged patch one, which I believe was yours,
Yep.
and then we can see what that looks like. And it's huge. So, any idea, any thoughts on why it's so big?
Why it's so huge? Oh, because I didn't. Let me look at the page. It is huge because it's span class avatar.
I don't think so. So let's look at
No.
let's go back. So I made a mistake. Well, I didn't make a mistake, but I didn't actually look at your code too closely. I just saw the file name
Okay.
change.
Mhm.
It's actually not anything you did. It's actually the images is really big.
Oh,
So
okay.
because my avatar that I use everywhere is like it's pretty much set up so it could be an avatar. It's like 4 KBs.
Yeah,
The image that we're adding is actually not 4 KBs. So there's
got
some
it.
creative things that we can do to limit the length of
Mhm.
images. So like one thing we could do is we could add a max width to images. This is not just images, but this is also for like div tags. Like if I were to add a max width to this this window right here, I can if I'd like to. I can add other widths and adjustments anywhere on the page. Um, but right now, what we're really focused on is the fact that this image is really big. So my next step, and what I'll probably do instead of um, working in like basically in production, I'm actually going to download this. Um, let's see. I'll just download a zip. I already have this locally into my machine, so I can't really git pull. Actually, no, I don't have it in Git. But anyway, the cool thing is that all the stuff that we were looking at right here, I can have access to just by clicking this index.html. Apologies that this is also pretty small. Let's see. You can probably see that. I don't know how. I guess I have this zoom. Oh, can't zoom. Used to be able to control and pinch, but I think that's turned off right now. But anyway, believe me, there's a file called index.html, and we'll get exactly the same what we're seeing in GitHub Pages directly here. The other cool thing is that because it's even though the files are local, it's still pointing to a live internet URL or embed.
Mhm.
So you're still seeing the exact same thing that we're going to see in GitHub Pages. I say that
Mhm.
because we can now um, open something like VS Code. That's not what I want. Okay. And the way that works is, let me see, mutual fund master should be able to drop it onto VS Code like that, and then it opens it up.
Mhm.
And then I'll see the same sort of file structure that we're already looking at. So I got my images here, I got my assets here, I got my index.html here. We're going to need to find that logo. Let's see now. Where is that image? Mutual fund. There we go. And we could do a couple different things. We could do it here, or we could do it in the CSS. I'm a very mediocre developer, so I tend to just do whatever I want to do, which is not the best situation. You should definitely pick a practice and stick to it. So if we leverage CSS, let's do CSS. And I honestly, I think this is a CSS thing. Also, I opened it up without even explaining to you as well. So my interaction with a website inside of a web browser, especially the Chrome browser. They have these things called developer tools. So if I go to View, Developer, and then Developer Tools or View Source. So View Source is what I was showing you before. I just did a Command Option U on the Mac. Don't even know what that Control Alt U maybe on Windows, but we'll let the Windows people figure that out. But yeah, I'm going to open up my developer tools, and that's what this window is going to come through. So the cool thing about this is if I open this up on a site like HeavyBit, I can get an idea. So this is already attached to the internet. I can see that there are no errors on the page. Sometimes developers will put errors on the page in case maybe a potential part of the website is buggy. They can send those error messages. They can anticipate those error messages. We could also see some other things like downloading images and links to images. If they're going to do like some progressive loading, that's also possible. You can see how fast things happen. I forget what the milliseconds is. It like 40 milliseconds or 200 milliseconds is how fast. I think it's 200 milliseconds is how fast you can blink. The human eye blinks. So as long as you're loading stuff within 200 milliseconds, you're pretty much on par with what Google expects based on that stat. So you can see a lot of this stuff here is actually loading pretty quickly. So this is the network tab itself, and I'll just embed in too as well. But what I'm actually looking for is the Elements tab, and Elements specifically because I want to see how I can adjust that specific image. So we're gonna go back to mutual fund. I'm gonna click this. There's like a little box with the arrow over here. In the Dev Tools, this is my bread and butter on how to figure things out. You click that, and then you click the image. Click the image or click the element that you want to inspect, and now you can see that we have the image here. You can see that it's actually 2500 by 1892 pixels. So that's huge compared to like my probably 18 by 18. Actually, it's probably more like 288 by 288 headshot. So I say that because we could go the path of just making the image smaller. So like this, throw that to like a Sketch or a Photoshop, make the image smaller. No one's the wiser. Everybody's happy. But I'm a fan of actually large images because they tend to, well, when they look on a small screen, they're supposed to look really nice and crisp and like have the sort of like the high res version. And then just for clarification, next to the actual point on the left, there is a mobile, looks like sort of like a phone. This is the mobile view. You can also see this is going to look horrible on mobile. It just looks like a giant logo about to eat this Twitch screen. All right, but we don't need to look at mobile. What we do need to do is click that image, and then if you look on the right, how familiar are you with CSS?
Not very.
Not very. Yeah, so CSS is, they call it like cascading style sheets, and it's definitely a place that you could spend a lot of time. So like you used to work in restaurants, AJ, correct?
That's right.
Give you a break, yeah. You got that mute switch pretty close. Yeah, so like in restaurants, like when you start your first job in a restaurant, or you just come out of culinary school, like what's the first job you usually get as a culinary new hiree?
Picking herbs.
Picking herbs, really? Okay.
Yep.
That's that's an interesting job. So I used to, I don't think you knew this, but I used to work in a restaurant as well.
Okay.
I was a dishwasher in high school. And yeah, so it was like
yes.
But that wasn't what I'm getting at is that I wasn't anywhere culinary, but I got insight into the culinary scene just by washing dishes. And the restaurant I worked at, it was like the salad bar was like where most people got thrown to. Either that or if they were okay, then they would be thrown in the middle or whatever the person that basically fries or cooks the steaks.
Normal progression. Plongeur doing dishes, garde manger when you do cold salads, and then on to the hot stations. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, picking herbs. Plongeur. Yeah, it's the person who the dishes. But like picking herbs is when you're a stagiaire, you're like not even officially a part of the kitchen, but they
Gotcha.
just need to see how you work. Yeah.
Like, yeah, if you have the effort, put the effort to find the best rosemary, I guess, or the thyme,
Mhm.
of just throwing out herbs out there. Yeah, so basically, what I'm getting at is that sometimes people can approach front end development, and especially CSS, as that sort of like plomberger or the all those other French words you were saying, because it is very approachable, um, but also it is a place that a lot of developers who maybe have did not start in the front end or even had a front end to even work with for like 30 years ago, they don't
Mhm.
really put a lot of effort into. But there's what I say that because there's a lot of opportunity for people who are meticulous and like have attention to detail. So like the one thing I hate about this Fiverr logo that I have is like you could actually see where the yellow actually crosses over into the white letter, like things like
Mhm.
that. That's just kind of like not really. That's kind of pretty messy. Uh,
Mhm.
but it is also possible that like this isn't CSS. This is actually more design. It's possible to make this a little more cleaner and crisp. You actually see spacing within the actual image itself. But I say all that because a quick fix would be going back and making the image smaller. But if you don't have access to the original file or whatever it is, you could actually just add a max width to it. And then, so like, let's just throw out a couple numbers. Max width 200 pixels. Looks pretty manageable. And then we could sort of like this click the up arrow. And the cool thing about this is like none of this saves. This is me just sort of testing out, and then seeing exactly what it looks like. So when it comes time
Mhm.
to me go back into CSS and say, okay, well, 343, which is probably should pick a round number. 340 seems legit. Maybe if we bump this up to 400, a little nicer. But then we have this other issue where I'm not sure the image itself really goes with the other square boxes and all this other stuff. So then the reason why, if you look at mutualfund.io, I end up going with this, like this rounded square,
Mhm.
um, which I'm not even a big fan of. It just seemed like it was a better solution than a circle. Um,
Okay. Can I
so
stop you for a sec?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So in the style, you how'd you add the max width portion of that? Like, because I
Yes.
I clicked on insert style rule below, and it just inserted stuff
Yeah.
separate
So let
from
me
these
refresh this.
parameters.
So I delete that. So nothing's saved. So since I hit refresh on the page, everything's deleted. Nothing's saved. So since I hit
Okay.
refresh on the page, everything's deleted. Nothing's saved. So since I hit
Okay.
refresh on the page, sounds like oh whoops.
Okay.
Real quick. I was just hearing myself in a loop because I refreshed. All right, we're playing with live code here. Also
Mhm.
live video. Yeah. So real quick, and I know I didn't realize I just actually when you had me slow down, I realized I was clicking and doing stuff without explaining it. So thanks for
Okay.
slowing me down. If I go back to clicking, selecting an image, I have the image. Why am I? It seems like it zoomed too much. All right. So all I did was just click here, like click in the
Okay.
box, and then
Yep.
because I knew max width was a thing that I was going to approach, I just started typing it, and then I saw that it was a option, and then auto completes. So
Oh,
the
got it. All right, I see.
so the way
Okay.
CSS, even like JavaScript objects too as well, a lot of programming, it has like a key value store is the term that you hear. It's also a term that is used for databases. So
Mhm.
basically, you have a title and then you have the value or the key and the value. So my key here is max width. I just
Mhm.
lost it. Max width, not margin. Max width, and then my value would be 400 pixels. I think is what I sort of reached as a resolution to what I was looking for, and then I'm just
Okay.
typing it directly in. So I'm seeing that instantly. I'm getting the feedback, and that's what I was sort of getting about with the
Mm,
Chrome Dev Tools.
I
It's a
see.
really fast way to get interaction on the page and then see what works and what doesn't.
Got it. So instead of doing pull requests constantly to the repo and deploying it and seeing if it flows through, like this way, you can see
Yeah.
exactly what you're going to be doing before you commit that change. Got it.
Yeah, and like getting this like feedback loop. Yeah, Alex is saying he's hearing a loop of me. Yeah, so getting that feedback loop uh, quickly is like really where it is in development. Because like when you write code, you're only failing until you get to your next failure. So like I will fail at getting this circle not a circle until I figure out how to make it not a circle, and then I move on to the next failure until I'm like ready to stop working on it. So it's very like there's like the term called feature complete, where there's like very few software programs that are feature complete. So like we're talking about Chrome. Chrome will probably never not be developed. Like we'll probably always have developers always building upon Chrome. There are some products that are feature complete, and those are usually end of life if you get to that point. Because if you're not always pushing forward and like improving or even like maintaining bugs, well, I guess maintaining bugs is not really adding features. But what I'm getting at, basically, you will find a bug, you always find an error, and you always have to fix something. Or as you're approaching adding features, you always have to find your next thing to fix. All right. So, any questions on this max width and then 400 pixels, which is what the PX is?
Nope, I got that.
Now, with the pixels, you can see that we have pixels here, but also you can see we have these EMs. There are these things called REMs and EMs, so REMs and EMs. I don't know what, honestly, I don't know what in CSS what REMs stand for. Reference. I don't even know what it stands for. Reference element margin. Anyway, it will remain a mystery. But the only thing I remember from my first job where I actually had to touch the front end as a developer, someone who was like way more experienced than me, he basically just said REMs are better than M's, and it rhymed, so I just never forgot it. So I tend to always go for REMs. And those, like, this is like way more detail. You don't need to commit this to memory or anything like that. I think what you should commit to memory is the fact that the Chrome console exists and that it's a great place to learn well. Or, yeah, basically, a lot of developers don't know the Chrome console as well as they could. Or when I say Chrome console, the developer tool, this is also similar in Firefox. It's also in Safari. It's in Opera. It's in Edge. But knowing your developer tools well is really where I guess where the effort should be, where it should lie. So it's like I guess with chefs, it's actually similar with like your tools. Like if you have a very nice knife, which I know because I have a okay knife, like the quality of food that I can produce from having just one good knife is so much better than having 5 steak knives. Which please don't cut onions with steak knives. All right, I know that. But yeah, I did that, but I don't think REMs are really necessary. REMs really come in they're real handy when you're talking fonts. So having fonts that actually are referenced similar rather than pixels, because when you get a phone, like the actual iPhone itself, you only have so many pixels on the screen. So if you're relying to have like an 18 pixel font type, which might be this, it's not going to be the same when you're on the phone. Evan, are you bored? All right. Yeah, so the other thing I was probably going to do is just probably kill this box, or kill the radius and just make it a box. Aesthetically, I think this looks better to my eyes, is just killing that entire line. So what your next step is open up another PR that changes to CSS. And I think it's only, you could actually tell too as well, see this main.css. That's the file that we're actually looking for. If you could up a PR, this change that to max width to 400, and also delete this line for border radius.
Delete the border radius line. Okay.
Yeah. And one other tip, trick, like while you're finding it, if you hit the letter T, you can actually just type main.css, and it should be this one.
There are few.
Yeah. So it should be the first or second one. There's CSS and then there's SCSS.
Yes,
SCSS is just like it's another flavor of CSS language. It gives you a little more flexibility. I'm just taking a look. Yeah, it seems like I'm gonna go on a limb and say they're both gonna have Avatar. No, actually, I was wrong. So you're just looking for the CSS, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, it would have said it in the Chrome Dev Tools because Chrome is pretty advanced and knows the difference between CSS and SCSS. Um, yeah, so main CSS is where your change is going to happen. Yeah, so just pipe up when you have that PR ready, and then I'm just gonna take a quick commercial break and just mention that Mutual Fund is an org that I created earlier this week. If anybody's interested, please give it a star. Mutual Fund Lives where the schedule's at. Also, I have a action too as well. Did I put that here or did I put that here? I wrote a GitHub action so that way people can invite themselves to the org. So for triaging purposes, for like the schedule, if you wanted to add stuff to the schedule, I want to make it so anybody could sort of do that. I do have it, and it will almost work. I just haven't actually put the work into adding a team because what I need to do, actually, it won't work. I forgot to copy and paste the code for this, so maybe check in next week. I probably will copy that over. Actually, I should probably just copy that over now. Let's see here. It's gonna paralyze our work. I'll work on this, and you work on that, AJ.
Mm.
All right. So I got some basic Ruby code. Wonder the better way to do this. There's always a better way. But I will just copy and paste. All right.
So remove the border radius, and then what was the other thing that I needed to do?
Max width.
Max width. Oh, add the max width.
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah, so I am actually creating I have an action that does the work for me. I don't need to comment. Of inviting people to the org. So I think eventually inviting people to this repo itself. So that way people have access to this. And I wonder, actually, you know what? I don't really need to invite people to the org because I have another action that's actually a little more trivial. Gotcha. Yeah. No, actually, I think I need to go down this path, but I'm gonna put that in hold and also mention that we have a schedule. In the schedule, it's here. It's also in the Twitch. I threw it on the bottom of the Twitch. I don't know what that section is, the details. But the hope is Monday we'll do some live coding. I'm looking to probably update mutualfund.io from my HTML site to like something more in JavaScript and React. I'm looking at, thanks to Sean, who coerced me and twisted my arm to do Next.js. I haven't done Next.js. I'm pretty familiar with React. I wanted to try a Vue again on a site, but I also realized my community that I know pretty well does a lot of React. So it might be easier for me to get contributions by actually going the React route. So yeah, I think I will go ahead and do that. All right. We have 15 minutes. I've got a 6-year-old timer right next to me.
All right. Yeah, I did it, but I think I did it poorly because I went into the file and then I copied and pasted it over to VS Code just to find the right section.
Yeah.
And then when I pasted back and hit commit, now it looks like I've deleted everything and then replaced everything.
So yeah, it looks like you the spacing, which is actually it's not poorly. It's actually it's the CSS is poorly spaced. So
Oh,
VS Code
okay.
probably spaced it properly for you.
Hmm.
Um,
Got it.
and honestly, it's not that big of a deal because what is more of a big deal is that it works. Um,
Okay. Let's try it then. Sending it.
Excellent. So let's see.
It's
You
just hard
made
for me to see the diff, right?
yeah. It's going to be 1050 line changes. But since I know what I'm looking for, actually in GitHub we do have a way to combine this side by side. I don't know if it breaks if I go to splitting the diff. So I just hit this little gear icon. I can change some height. I can remove some of the white space changes, which I don't think there are any, and then I can just make it a split so it's side by side. So then we can see exactly what changed. So despite the fact that you made a bunch of changes because you copied and pasted over, we can actually see the one change that you did make. And just to sort of reiterate, I clicked hide
Okay.
white space, so all the white space changes of you
Mhm.
adjusting it, actually VS Code adjusting it for you, and then putting it side by side basically makes it much easier to read, which is a feature I think came in sometime last summer. I think we sort of like rounded off this feature when it comes to reviewing code. But
Nice.
this
Yep.
looks
Now I see it too.
pretty realistic. All right, so I'm gonna give this a good old approval. Did you know what LGTM means?
Looks good to me.
Yeah, is that a question? Yeah, it took me a while. Actually, it took me probably like a month before I realized what my boss was saying whenever he reviewed my PRs, my last job, because I'd never seen that before, and it seems very popular with the kids these days.
Well, I get confused too because there's a SEML thing, right? That's LGTM as well.
Yeah, yeah, and it was I believe they took the same acronym. They just have a product around it. Yeah, it
Can't
was
productize common acronyms. It'll just
well,
mess with me.
you would be surprised. We do work for GitHub, so all right. 11 seconds ago, we have a deployment. So let's see how this looks. And
Please work. Please work.
it looks exactly the same. What am I looking at? Is it cached? It's probably cached, isn't it? No, it's still the same.
Hmm.
I don't know what we're missing. Oh, so it looks like none of the code. Did I merge this? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Boop. Let's kill this. All right. Let's go back to. Yeah, this is the deployment we're looking for. Yeah, sometimes you're getting a little weird tisk with caching. I've never had that with GitHub Pages though, so it's not a caching. Let's go back to the code and then see because I'm quite stumped myself. Definitely changed the right file because there's only two files that you could have changed, and it was the main CSS. Yep. Oh, did you make the change? You might have made the change in the wrong line.
Hmm. There was another.
Yeah, it's quite possible. So let's backtrack and there's a way to actually we could revert this, which I'll show you. How much time do I have? We have 10 minutes. So I don't know if I have 10 minutes. Actually, I do have 10 minutes. What I'll do is I will clone this, and I'll show you how to revert commits, and
Mhm.
then we'll try to backtrack and see what line 755 as well. So let me get my trusty terminal open. I think I need to make a new file called foo. I'm making a new folder because I need to know to delete this when I'm done. And if I call it foo, I'll always question why it's there. If I called it something like I'm testing something, then I'll never look at it. All right,
Mm.
so mutual fund. And then what I'll do is, for the sake of speed, I will use Vim. Uh, Mainly because I'm just very slow in Visual Studio Code. One of the things I want to do is actually figure out how to use it faster. But until then, we will use this. So line 755 is the change. So yeah, that's your change. So I
Mhm.
guess what happened was you had made the change to the icons,
Mm.
and these icons are actually down here. So I probably should have
It's
zoomed out and
all
looked at
down
that.
below. Yeah.
Yeah, so you see how these icons are no longer circle?
Mhm.
Not a big deal. We
Oops.
can fix this. So we'll just add the border radius back, and that's 100%. And then we'll take this out, and then we'll look for the avatar. So I just because I know it's called avatar. One way we can figure that out is going back into the DevTools, clicking the big old image. Um, in this image, there is a avatar class.
Mhm.
So inside the main section, so actually we didn't even talk about this. So this is great. This section has an ID called main. Inside of CSS, if you want to attach CSS to an ID, it's a pound sign. If you want to attach CSS to a class, it's a dot.
Mm. Okay.
So within the main section, I'm looking for the class avatar, and that avatar itself has, well, this. All right, there we go. So I actually clicked on the wrong thing anyway. You want to click on the image. The image itself, and the image has a ID, not ID. It has a in HTML. It's a tag. It's an image tag, img, inside the
Okay.
class avatar under the section main. So this is like foolproof. They want to make sure you're in the right image, the right section, and the right class. And then
Yep.
for there, you want to delete that, and then add the margin width. So since
So I
I'm
needed to
here,
find. Yeah.
yeah. So basically, it's this section is where you'd want to um, put that change, so deleting that. So did you want to tackle that, or did you want me to go ahead and do
Yeah.
it?
I'll do it. I will
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, and it's actually it's a great way to really learn CSS and how it relates to HTML. I know we had talked about JavaScript, and also we didn't even cover my project, which is fine. If you want to talk about that in the future, or we can talk about something else. I do want to work on a new version of that restaurant template. I think there's opportunity. I just saw a tweet from the team from Sanity. So as we know, a lot of restaurants are having challenges, and some restaurants have to lay off a lot of their staff. Um, so Sanity has done this thing, and Sanity is like a web tool. Um, I don't know how to find it without. Anyway, I don't know Sanity IO. Here we go. They created a template for, or someone created a template using Sanity for restaurant deliveries. So if you wanted to set up a delivery portal website for your restaurant, they built it with Sanity, and that is this. So I thought that was really cool. I think that's like a really cool like approach to web development, solving a problem that sort of that a lot of people are going through right now. My idea was actually build a restaurant template so that restaurants could get a new website from you and host it on GitHub Pages. But I think creating a sort of a portal for that seems pretty cool. So I think I still want to approach something similar in the space, but I'm not sure what it looks like today. But yeah, so I mentioned that. So I mentioned that because I had AJ look at my restaurant template I wrote a couple years ago, back in 2017, and it was kind of broken. And I knew what was broken. Basically, it had some dependency issue. Um, I think there was something that fell out of date. Just looking at my description too. Home for your mutual fund entertainment. It's a great description.
All right.
Yeah, ideally, what would happen is if I wasn't so confident in your ability to write CSS, I would have looked at the development version of the site, which we don't really have one because it's HTML and it's a super simple site and it's not set up. But GitHub Pages does have a feature where we can enable developer previews. I know a lot of other tools have this as well, but in your PR, you're able to click a link and see what it looks like live. Staging is a very important part of, well, it's an important part of everything, but it's an important part of development as well, is being able to have your friends or your teammates look at that, look at what you've changed.
All right, so hopefully my pull request both fixes what I messed up last time and edits the right section for what we wanted in the first place.
Sweet. Fix bad from last time. All right, so yeah, I see a change. I see my white space is still intact. Well, I guess you shipped all the white space, so it's not a massive file. And I think the other issue is like this. GitHub kind of obscures the rest of the details, so sometimes it's important to click through and see what else is happening here. But yeah, it looks like my border radius is back. Looks good. If I wanted to, I could add a preview, but it looks like my GitHub Pages app is not installed, so one day I'll fix that. Make some trust right here, squashing and merging. Gonna go back to my environment and see that changed. But yeah, so yeah, look at you. You're doing open source.
Yay!
All right, deployed by GitHub Pages
now. Moment of truth.
There we go. Looks beautiful.
Yay!
Excellent.
And right on time too.
Yeah. Wow. So I appreciate you going through the test. I know we had some like audio things going on earlier, but I'm really, really happy with the setup thus far. I'm gonna spend some time in like After Effects and get these images squared away, but particularly the logo. But AJ, congratulations, you're a developer.
Thank you.
The hardest part of the job, which is CSS triaging.
I appreciate it. This has been fun.
Excellent. All right, so I'm going to stop the stream. Hey, and everybody else who came to the right, Alex, thanks for popping in with us and chatting. And feel free to give a star or a like or a follow, whatever you want to do on the social channel that you found us on. The site for the code, Mutual Fund, is here. I'm looking to do an update. Hopefully on Monday, I'll probably start doing some work on that site. Yeah, happy hacking.